What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Appreciate you stopping by with me this morning. And there's a lot of stuff to talk about, specifically that whole Scalebound thing. But first, I wanted to thank you, the viewers, specifically any of the patrons that have been helping out with Newswave and Spawnwave, Spawncast in general. Now, obviously, YouTube's been having its own problem with ads. That's fine. We've kind of moved on past that at this point. I think a lot of people have, because they've started to kind of right the ship. It'll probably never be what it was before, and that's fine. I think a lot of us have accepted that. But you guys have really helped us out here, specifically with the Spawncast, for example, by donating to our Patreon page. And I kind of wanted to thank a couple of you guys, because it's really cool that you do that. So I'll start thanking you guys publicly on here. I want to start with a couple of you here on our Patreon page. Specifically, let's start with Living Regiment. Thank you again for helping out. John Finter, Damian Mahadevan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, I appreciate it though, and Jonathan Pons. Now I'll keep going through these and really give you guys shout outs because I appreciate it. It's your help, your patronage that really makes this a lot easier overall with, again, the whole thing that's been going on with YouTube. Also, if you didn't know, a lot of people have been asking me where the Spawncast video is, the entire video cast. It's actually posted on Patreon, so even if you donate, even if you sign up for $1, it's there. Usually the night or the day after for you guys to just view. Otherwise, you can listen to the entire SoundCloud version of it, all audio. It's also on iTunes. If you just search Spawncast, leave us a review if you enjoy it. So let's get started with really the big story that happened over the past 24 hours. And that, of course, comes down to Scalebound. Apparently, Microsoft renewed the trademark for their Scalebound IP, which, of course, Scalebound was canceled by Microsoft. Platinum Games was working on it in conjunction with Microsoft. No one really knows why it was canceled. There's a lot of theories going around. Things like they couldn't get it to run correctly on the Xbox, or they were sure that because it was more of a Japanese-based type game, it's really targeted towards I guess a Japanese RPG or that kind of audience, that it wasn't going to resonate with Xbox's crowd, which if you look at the Japanese numbers, or numbers in Japan, for example, they're not completely off on that, because the Xbox does not sell well in Japan, but you need to have games that would get them into that system. So you kind of have to make the game before they want to buy it. And that's what was happening here. But they, of course, canceled it. That's kind of the short of it. They cut it down. But now all of these fans are really excited because they think Scalebound's coming back. And I was kind of sitting here when I saw this, and I was waiting. I was like, you know what, this is going to happen on Twitter. Let me go check. And sure enough, somebody claims that Scalebound is back under development with no real credible sense that I can see. But either way, this is by someone named X-Rays Insider on Twitter, and they went ahead and tweeted out, Insider report, do you remember Scalebound? Development is resumed, led by and entrusted to an important, close Microsoft team. Info soon. Now, I'm not really sure who this is. A lot of people don't seem to know who this is. I mean, obviously they seem very into the Xbox since they decided to put the Scorpio symbol in their name. I'm still not sure why people do that on Twitter, but that's fine. But here's a person that I have no idea here has any credibility. Most people on forums or message boards or Twitter have no idea who this person is, but they put this out, and it kind of takes a turn to where fans now believe that Scalebound is coming back. And you know what? There's a few reasons why a company would renew their trademark. They either want to keep it, make sure nobody else gets it, so they can just renew it just to sit on it for a while, which makes sense. Or maybe, yes, they are thinking about doing something with it. Keep in mind, Scalebound, maybe it didn't run super well on the original Xbox One, but the Scorpio is coming. Maybe that's something they put out for the Scorpio. Now they said it's going to work across the board, but maybe there's a chance that Platinum Games just wasn't cutting it for Microsoft. Maybe there were creative differences. It's hard to say. Now, the third reason that I could think of that they would bring this trademark back is to sell it. Maybe they want to sign and make sure everything is all together in one package, and then maybe they have potential buyers for this. They could sell it to a third party and keep exclusive rights to it, for example, as part of the deal, and then have one company basically develop this entire game for the Microsoft brand. That company, of course, makes more money than Microsoft would if they funded it, but that's fine. They don't mind. It's on their system, helps sell their system, and it could be something that could help push the Scorpio down the line with 4K visuals. But when you know it, as soon as these start, they get cut down as well. So it's almost like Scalebound was canceled twice if you think about it. And this, of course, was over on Twitter as well. After these rumors started really ramping up because people saw this trademark get renewed, Windows Central decided to chime in by saying, ignore reports that Scalebound is back in development. It's not. Sorry. Now, Windows Central is much more credible than X-Rays Insider. They seem to have, I guess, either their finger on the pulse much more, or they actually do have insider knowledge because they were able to discern things about the Scorpio, especially its announcement, for example, before it actually happened. So I'm much more inclined to trust Windows Central here than a random person on Twitter that says they're an insider. So unfortunately right now, it looks like Scalebound is not currently back in development, but again, that doesn't mean that it's not planned for development down the road, or again, planned to be sold off to the highest bidder, or maybe Microsoft already has someone in mind. Either way, it's unfortunate, but Scalebound does not look like it's coming back. I actually had this funny idea that Microsoft canceled it, and then they were like, hey, let's announce it at E3 as a new game. Now, keep in mind, they did this with Phantom Dust, technically. They canceled Phantom Dust, and then they brought it back and re-released it as a re-release, and everyone got it for free. So while that's not the same because it technically ended up being a different Phantom Dust, it still happened, so I'll keep an eye on Scalebound. I'm sure if we ever get any other information, it will blow up online like this did, since this was just a small trademark filing. Who knows what else could come from it, though. And real quick, if you missed the Destiny trailer, go watch it now. It had full gameplay. They go through a lot of the different things that are happening in Destiny 2. And of course, a lot of people from the press or fans or Let's Players got to actually play the game, so it is at least playable. Went over a ton of information specifically about the PC version, having quite a bit of features that apparently the console versions will be missing. But if you're a fan of Destiny, it might be worth checking out because it looks like it's going to be what I think Destiny should have been when it first came out. If you're interested in more info about Destiny 2, check out my video I did yesterday, last night about it, because I kind of go more in depth with it and really, I guess, just give my thoughts and opinions on it. Next up, SNK announces King of Fighters 14 for Steam, so it is now on the computers. And you know, I checked it out and the system requirements are pretty low. You can play it with the medium to low end PC with maybe some settings turned down, but overall it doesn't need a beast to play. And this, of course, is King of Fighters 14, the 14th game in the series, but it's going to be coming out for $59.99 on June 15th. So if you're a fighting game fan and you've been looking to get it on your PC, maybe you don't have like a PS4 to play it on, there you go. You can get it on your PC and enjoy King of Fighters. They're also running like a special, so that if you end up pre-ordering or buying it before June 15th, you actually get 20% off. So it's like in the $47, $48 range. Not bad if you're a big fan of the series. Might be worth picking up on your PC. Also, I noticed that if you do pre-order, you get immediate access to closed beta. So if you go and buy it now and pre-order it, you can actually start playing their closed beta, which essentially should be the game, like now. You can go play it now. And we talked about the NPD numbers for the Nintendo Switch yesterday, but the entire NPD charts came out. So we can now look at everything and how it's sold in almost like a 1 to 20 situation for the games. And then down from there, we can kind of see where the rest of the systems place. As far as I can tell right now, we know where Nintendo's consoles have placed, and we kind of take a guess that the PS4 and then the Xbox One more than likely was in that order, because the PS4 just always seems to outsell the Xbox One every month. But it looks like, this is kind of interesting, the rankings went Switch, NES Classic in number 2, and then PS4 and Xbox One. So the NES Classic managed to outsell the PS4 and the Xbox One in the United States in April. I think that threw a lot of us kind of through a loop. Now, we do know that Nintendo was pretty much offloading all of the stock that they had left over for the NES Classic, so that's not really out of the realm of possibility. I just think it's interesting because they were not easy to find, and I guess when you find them, they're just gone. Everyone buys them out. So I think this kind of comes back to the Switch situation even. Despite the Switch outselling the PS4 and the Xbox One, very hard to find a Switch, but I can go out and find a PS4 and Xbox One. They're just not selling out, because the Switch is like the hot thing right now. NES Classic is the hot thing right now. And realistically, there's a little bit of a difference. You can get mad that you can't find it, saying they're not providing enough stock, but it's just selling out everywhere. Also, the NES Classic is a much easier buy considering it's $60, whereas obviously a PS4 and Xbox One, depending on where you walk in at a Walmart, $250 to $350. Much easier pill to swallow when you have to break out 320s through the game system. Now, the very interesting thing comes in when we start looking at the chart for the games. I'm going to show you the top 10 here real quick, because after that it gets kind of basic. You know, it's all the kind of the leftover games at the bottom. Although I shouldn't say that, because Horizon Zero Dawn is 12. That just kind of shows it slipping heavily from the charts. Anyway, let's look at the top 10. Number 1, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. That's expected. Mario Kart 8 pretty much killed it on its last 2 days in the NPD. But Persona 5, guys, number 2. Man, good for Persona 5. That is awesome. It's a great game, and I'm glad to see something like kind of what was a niche JRPG do so well and come in at number 2. Number 3, of course, Breath of the Wild. Makes sense. You buy a Switch, you're probably buying Breath of the Wild. Let's be honest here. Down from there, MLB 17 The Show makes sense. It is a baseball game, baseball season. I understand completely. Down from there, Ghost Recon Wildlands, Grand Theft Auto 5, which just will not go away, by the way, from the NPD. That game has ridiculous selling power there. Mass Effect Andromeda, NBA 2K17, again, makes sense because the basketball playoffs are going on right now. I understand that one. Overwatch, and then the interesting one. If you get down to number 10, Guys, that's Call of Duty Black Ops 2 from 2012. And this is where things get kind of interesting, because this shows that Microsoft has an interesting business strategy here, because apparently, if you make a game randomly backwards compatible, you not only have something that is over your competition because you can't play Black Ops 2 on the PS4, not like you can on the Xbox One where it's native to the system. Maybe eventually Sony and PlayStation make it so that you can stream it online. Still not the same as having it local. And there is some actual selling power because Black Ops 2 outsells Infinite Warfare, which was number 11. That's interesting. So these backwards compatible games, which you can then buy on the digital shop, obviously, for whatever price they want it to be, is outselling games that have been out recently, have just come out. And you know what? That shows that a lot of people are still interested in these older games that some systems are leaving behind. The PS4 left behind pretty much the entire PS3 library, whereas the Xbox One is able to make these games backwards compatible. Remember when Red Dead Redemption went backwards compatible and people were freaking out about this and desperately wanted it? Black Ops 2 was on a whole nother level. I have a feeling that's probably one of the best, it has to be the best sales they've ever done for a backwards compatible game when they made it backwards compatible on the Xbox One. So Microsoft at least has something here with the backwards compatibility, because again, none of their competition has it. The Switch, no backwards compatibility, obviously. PS4, zero backwards compatibility. It won't play any PS3 games. I don't think it ever will, especially not natively, considering the cell processor is just so hard to emulate. And realistically, let's be honest here, the Jaguar CPUs in the Xbox One and the PS4 probably are just not strong enough to even come close to emulating that thing. Either way, it was a very interesting month for the NPDs. NES Classic at number 2, outside the PS4 and Xbox One. Persona 5 taking the number 2 spot. If Mario Kart was not there, Persona 5, I think, would have been number 1. Although they do say that it doesn't include digital sales between either, so it's hard to say which one actually sold more. I do have a feeling, though, that Mario Kart 8 still probably sold more, but man, it's got to be close. I wish we had actual numbers here, because this would be interesting to see between Persona 5 and Mario Kart. And guys, last bit of news for today is centered around a game that myself and Evan love. It's such a good game. That, of course, is Windjammers. And you can actually sign up for a closed beta because it's kind of being revived on the PS4, and you can actually go over, you could sign up for it at flyingpowerdisc.com. It's a beta they're going to hold from June 8th to June 12th. It's a closed beta, so you have to be invited, so go sign up now so you're at least in the drawing for it before everyone else tries to sign up. And it's a really fun game. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, it's like a top-down ultimate frisbee style Pong game almost. It's kind of hard to describe. Go look up some videos for it. It's really fun. I'll actually show you one here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm very glad that they're making the comeback. I hope it has online play, rankings, leaderboards. There's a lot of stuff they can do because this game is actually pretty competitive. It's a lot of fun. They even have they do this at all the different like big Evo events or conventions. This is a game that's heavily competitive. So I look forward to playing this. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. I put my name in the hat. I hope they pick me out so I can do some closed beta, because I will stream this and we'll have some fun. We have no word when it's actually coming out. They just say 2017, so it might be later on. If they're in closed beta, they at least have the core game done and ready to go. They just want to probably make sure things like hopefully online play is not heavily lag-ridden, because that game could be damaged heavily by lag. And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think about anything we talked about here today, whether it is Scalebound. Maybe you got really excited for a minute and then realized they're just renewing a trademark. We might not see it yet, but the hope is at least there. I feel like Microsoft had to hear the noise that happened when it was canceled. They have to be looking at this at least a little bit. Maybe that's why that trademark is renewed, just in case for the future. Or maybe you want to talk about the NPD charts. I think it was very interesting to see some of these results here, specifically the NES Classic at number 2. Who would have thought? And then, of course, Mario Kart or Persona 5 at number 2. Again, awesome to see a niche JRPG get that close to the top of the charts. If digital sales were involved, who knows which way it would have gone. But great for Atlas, great for Sega. I mean, it's pretty obvious. I'm sure Persona 6 is in the works right now. That's it for now, guys. I will see you next time.